BYDFi is a crypto exchange on desktop and mobile where you can spot trade, futures trade, use leverage tokens, and copy the trades of top trade. There's hundreds of crypto available on their spot exchange, as well as a free test account so you can practice futures trading without getting wrecked. BYDFi.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Ethereum to get a bit of an idea of what might happen to altcoins. Maybe, starting off with a lot of certainty here, might and maybe, could, possibly, blah blah blah. Let's just have a look at it, shall we? So on the daily, what we see is a 21 exponential holding us, which is basically what's happened with Bitcoin really on the daily. The 21 exponential held us. 21 exponential held here, more or less here, final tag here, and then moved up to that major support. So if we go back to Ethereum, you know, we've had this big massive move up, I suppose, in anticipation for the ETF. The ETF happened and it just went sideways. Then that sort of pullback happened, if you want to call it that, or maybe a dump or whatever, the Bitcoin and gold and crypto dump. And we've been sitting around the 21 exponential ever since. Yesterday, basically unchanged. Today, so far, again, it's only 9 o'clock in the morning, unchanged. What are the setups and signals looking like when it comes to any further continuation over here? So the conversion baseline made across below the cloud. So we got a pump signal that was generated when we closed over here. Now, if you class that a pump really on a daily, so this is where it closed, and that's the peak of it. We got a 9% move, which I suppose is alright. You know, that's all right. That probably is the pump signal there. However, it could pump higher, but if that's all it yields, the pump signal on the itchy cloud, 9% is not too bad for something like Ethereum, at least anyway. So we've come down to this support, and when we're looking at momentum, it's all turning down. You know, there's no bullish divergence. It's kind of resetting, really. The money flow index is certainly resetting. Plenty of room to go further down if it wanted to. If it wanted to turn around, that's also acceptable. So let's have a look at the shorter term time frames, being the 4 hourly. So the 4 hourly obviously got its golden crossover here, yet to be retested. As far as price action is concerned, it's below all moving averages outside of these two bad boys. So the 200 simple exponential, is sitting at 3,573, and 200 simple 5,000. What am I talking about? 3,465. So if we were to move from here down to any one of these, that would be a further drop of about 3%, and you know, twice that, so around 6%. This is sideways to the max, to the absolute max. So you can't really class this as bullish divergence. Although momentum is creeping to the upside, it's not really what I would consider to be a good setup. And unfortunately for Ethereum, we do have a short signal generated on the 4 hourly, which would basically say we got the short signal at this level, which is basically where price action is right now. You would expect to see that pull back into the next major area of support on this time frame, being the 4 hourly. So if that was the case, it is these two, isn't it? We've got the 3 and we got the 6. So we might be looking for Ethereum to pull back between 3 and 6% based on the Ichimoku cloud, based on the trend generally, and the loss of that 21 exponential moving average on the daily. And at that point, you might be looking for a bounce, maybe reversal, but certainly a bounce should happen around here if we're judging this chart individually on its own, from what we see. Weekly, what's going on the weekly? So because this is such a big bold move, there is no moving averages in any close proximity to the weekly. So if you were to measure this down, we've got the 10 exponential sitting at 6, almost 7%. So the weekly, unfortunately, despite being a really bullish chart, and again, this is bullish, you know, we love this chart, this is a good chart. If you're trying to measure or anticipate next major levels to pick this up in mass, you are really looking for another deeper drop between 12 to, well, about 14% perhaps, maybe at best. However, the 10 exponential might hold it. You know, that wouldn't be a shock to see that. But I'm just trying to put it to you now that despite this chart being bullish on the weekly, on the higher term timeframes, which it is, and by that, what I'm trying to put across is that dips are for buying here. You know, this isn't breaking down. This is absolutely not breaking down at all. This is a decent looking chart on the higher term timeframes, and there is no guarantees. But I'd be willing to bet that if we do come down to these areas, we bounce from there because an educated guess would say, if you're an investor, if you're not looking to scalp a trade, for instance, you're looking to buy into Ethereum and sail it up to wherever it goes over the next year or so, the best place to start, with a large position would be back down towards the 20 and the 21 exponential on the weekly, which is what I'm looking at here, giving you a price currently 3,165 or possibly 3,236, which again, this is Sunday, so we're going to close this a little higher basically tomorrow morning, probably raising these supports by about $100 or so thereabouts. And we might be, well, we haven't yet, but we might be baking in a positive cross on the MACD on the weekly as well, which normally, if you read Investopedia, for instance, would say, you buy this, don't you? You buy this. A negative cross, you sell. A positive cross, you buy. Oversimplified. It's just another way to measure momentum, really. But yeah, if we get a positive cross above the 0 point, it is a good look, but it doesn't mean that we can't come down further before we spring back up. Remember, this is a weekly lagger, and we haven't even closed it yet. So this tiny little, skinny little green positive histogram could be wiped out, as soon as I, I don't know, tidy the kitchen. There's very little going on in this area, but like I say, it's a bullish chart, bullish trend, bullish across the board, but be prepared for for a pullback. Basically, be prepared for a pullback of up to maybe 14%, where a dip would be bought. So that's Ethereum, and the reason I'm looking at Ethereum is not because I'm sort of like an Ethereum fanboy or anything. I've got plenty of Ethereum, obviously, and again, this is why I always say hodls often win anyway, because the majority of the Ethereum I bought back in 2019. It's like $160, and I still have it. So there is a store of value there over a period of time. So don't let people tell you otherwise. Time in the market, most of the time, as long as you haven't bought a steaming turd, trumps timing the market. So significantly up on that. But I'm not a massive Ethereum fanboy. It's just it's just an anecdotal trade, really. I bought it and I never actually sold it, just kept it. It was on offline wallet, just kept it, and it's still there. So let's have a look at total 2, because what's good for Ethereum should be good for altcoins, what's bad for Ethereum should be bad for altcoins. And so let's have a look at total 2, which is all altcoins excluding obviously Bitcoin, and then we'll look at total 3. So unfortunately, this is a slightly more bearish setup. Unlike Ethereum, unlike Bitcoin, we've closed below major support, possibly flipping it to resistance. The 21 exponential is above us as well, which is where we're being supported on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and obviously all the other moving averages of interest there also. There is a pump signal on this as well, though, just like our other favourites. The pump signal was generated when they broke the cloud here. If we measure that, that's only a measly 3%. So you might argue that is, we're waiting for that to still play, but let's not kid ourselves. Every time we look at altcoins on the Patreon live streams, or when I talk about them on this channel anyway, I always, or at least I try to say, if I remember, whatever this altcoin looks like it wants to do, Bitcoin might deny access to that pump. So you just got to remember that. You always have to remember that, and I know you know that, but that is the way it is. You can have the most bullish setup in the world, and then Bitcoin just goes down, and your altcoin goes down. The market is one giant machine that trends as one. And trading altcoins can be tricky. This is why I always try to, I used to do it on the channel, people got so bored of me doing it, but try to check the overall environment by looking at Forex, stocks, sometimes precious metals, oil, and then I'd move into Bitcoin and then the altcoins. By the time I got to the altcoin, people aren't bothered. But this, I think, is the better strategy to trade an altcoin. There's no point in buying an altcoin and going, yeah, look at that setup, was great. And Bitcoin is doing the opposite, stocks are doing the opposite, Forex is doing the opposite. There's no point, really. You're moving into an environment which is not favourable for altcoins, despite the altcoin looking good. Anyway, I'm boring you to death. Let's have a look at the total 2 on the 4 hourly, where we're hitting that golden cross on the 4 hourly. We're sort of trying to find support on it here. The wick moved into the 200 simple, all part of the golden cross that took place here and here. So the bounce here and currently finding support here. So you could make the case possibly that we do bounce from here. V-shaped recoveries often take place from golden cross retests. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. So that is your 4 hourly on the total 2. Let's just check the 4 hourly and the daily on the total 3, and then I'll leave you to simmer over that. So the total 3 is Rex City. Unfortunately, there is no golden cross retest on here. Straight through. So small caps or any other cap, basically, all the other altcoins are bundled into one. Don't look particularly good. But do you know the flip side of this? The flip side is that we're still way above support on the total 3. So this puts more emphasis into the idea that this is a very bullish chart. And despite losing this center range, the major support for the total 3 lives down here, which is again another 12%, really. Even down to the support is the horizontal support is an 8%. So we can be bullish on this still, massively bullish on it, because if you pull back, you bounce from here. Whoa, that might be the last time you get. That might be it. That might be the time to buy the altcoins big time. And I say it all the time, but I'll say it again. Yeah, I'm in 70% cash. I have been. I only deployed cash into the market about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. A little bit of it that was. I was hoping that we would go down further, so I'd start dollar cost averaging in deeper areas of certain altcoins that I'm interested in, with the view to hold them and ride them up to wherever they go in the next year. That's the plan, really. So if this chart does creep down or dump down to these areas, I will definitely deploy a much larger amount, maybe a full 10% into certain altcoins, because this is a guide, an altcoin guide, saying that all right, all altcoins excluding Ethereum at this point on this chart should find some variety or some area of supports around these areas. So that's again measuring out the drop from where we're at right now. Overall, about another 12% down before the next major dip buy. So that's pretty much all there is to say about these charts. So opportunity is on altcoins, absolutely, definitely. For me, I can tell you, I am eyeing up the opportunities for altcoins, but although we are sitting basically back at my entry points for the 2 that I bought into, which is VeChain and ICP, I know that we're sitting back down at those levels where I bought them from, and maybe even a little bit lower actually at this point. I would welcome deeper, and I'm looking at deeper, because if we do go deeper, then you get the opportunity to buy at lower prices, and I'll be putting more in at those lower prices, because everything that I see suggests that, well, major support, major opportunity, major dip buy, possible, actually more likely than not, V-shaped recovery to where we came from, and then, up and beyond. That's what it would suggest. So let's have a look at the Bitcoin dominance, and then I will definitely leave you alone. So the Bitcoin dominance is a bullish chart across pretty much every time frame. So this is your daily, sailing above all moving averages, having a nice time. The weekly actually got a golden cross, which we don't know what to think about that. Golden cross here, golden cross here. So to be honest with you, pretty bullish. Altcoin rejection. Altcoin season, alt season potentially exists at 58% dominance and maybe even 63.5% dominance. That's where I would love to see a rotation from Bitcoin into altcoins, and if we're going to get one, we might see one around there. Sort of major area that we found a bounce around here, and obviously major rejections and supports around here, and obviously a big drop around there. So if we move up to these areas again, I would apply more money into altcoins as well, based on the total 2, the Bitcoin dominance, the total 3, and whatever altcoin specifically that you're looking to trade. So you don't go all in on one thing for no reason. You've got to balance all these charts together. Again, it's about the overall trading environment. If you really want to get down into the nitty-gritty like a proper trader, you start with the Dixie, stocks, maybe even individual forex pairs, precious metals, oil, and you stir it all into one giant cauldron, and only the last thing to go in, the seasoning to go into the magic mix, is the altcoin that you want to buy, and you make a wish, cast a spell, and hopefully a green candle will emerge from that cauldron. So, like I say, the trading environment currently is not that good. To be honest with you, it's not that good. Gold took a huge dump on Friday. Dixie had a nice big move up. We got a lot of conversations to take place next week with the Fed. So yeah, it's a tricky and probably going to be volatile. And if we do come down, which to be honest with you, it does look like it wants to come down further. We shouldn't be surprised, but we should also be ready to take the plunge. And like I say, you make your decisions now. You formulate a plan now. So if and when the drop does come, you're not overwhelmed with emotion. Oh, it's going to go down further than this. It will go down further. Oh, it's the end. It's going to zero. Which is, it's normal for that internal monologue to start kicking in, because we're talking about money, aren't we? At the end of the day, we need money to live. But if you make a plan in a rational mind, like on a Sunday morning, for instance, and then, at some point next week, let's just say at, 4:30 on Wednesday, we see a big drop, then you shouldn't be surprised, because you've had a bit of time to think about it. You've made a plan about what you'll do when it happens. And so when it does happen, you stick to your plan, and buy that dip at those places on those altcoins that you want, based on everything you see. So, like I say, I'm not thinking about anything particular here apart from the overall environment, which is the best way to look at it, I think, right now. And then, if this all makes sense to you, or if you believe what I'm saying, or if it resonates in any way, then you look at your individual altcoin and go, all right, where would I buy this altcoin? Why would I buy this altcoin? And if I do buy it, where will I sell it, and why? Don't react like some ant on the pavement, just sort of like scurrying around looking for a dropped ice cream. No, you got to make your plan, so when the price action, starts, you're not caught off guard, and you basically just react to that plan, and don't become the ant. Right. Thanks for watching. If you want more, subscribe, like the video, obviously. But if you want even more than that, join the Patreon. We do 2 live streams a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. And maybe I'll see you there. Links in the description below. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you have a nice day, and take it easy.